Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, billionaire Elon Musk gets the green light to purchase Twitter. We'll have a look at what that could mean for its future. Plus,
a cancer treatment using a patient's own immune system.
They've never done it before in humans. I'm sort of an eternal optimist. I figured, what the heck, worked in mice, maybe it'll work in me.
See why patients and doctors are singing praises for the treatment. Then later, Father Stu, the film about a real-life amateur boxer turned priest, in theaters right now. We'll give you a behind-the-scenes look at the film and talk to the cast.
Find a story that would bring people closer to God or to faith or to each other.
All these stories and more are coming up next from the CBN Newsroom.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
we begin this half hour with billionaire Elon Musk getting the green light to buy Twitter for $44 billion. There's a lot of chatter about what that sale will mean for the social media platform's future. As CBN's Tara Mergener reports, Musk is making noise about free speech online and how the company is not living up to its potential.
Musk, a self-proclaimed free speech absolutist, has been critical of Twitter's picking and choosing which posts get deleted. His involvement is welcomed by those accusing the platform of censorship while making its defenders uneasy. With around 200 million users worldwide, the deal could reshape social media.
Twitter has become kind of the de facto town square.
If approved, Musk plans to take the company private.
My strong intuitive sense is that having a public platform that is maximally trusted and broadly inclusive is extremely important to the future of civilization.
Twitter founder and ex-CEO Jack Dorsey seems happy, writing, "Taking it back from Wall Street is the correct first step." The platform has been a political battleground for years, accused of taking partisan action against various subjects and discussions, including medical information and even spiritual thoughts. Pastor Dave Scarlett saw his ministry's account banned after this Good Friday tweet showing Jesus was retweeted by rapper MC Hammer to his massive following.
It went absolutely viral. And then literally within an hour, they took us down without any reason, any warning, any strikes. We've never been in a timeout or anything like that. And we were just done.
Just last week, a new report highlighted more than 600 instances where people who criticized President Biden on Twitter or Facebook had comments deleted or accounts banned. And critics say Twitter goes after Republicans far more than Democrats.
Twitter and Facebook censor Republican members of Congress at a rate of 53-1 compared to Democrats. Twitter suspends conservatives 21 times more often than liberals.
While Musk could reopen the door to President Trump's banned Twitter account, the former commander-in-chief says he won't return. Under his leadership, Musk is promising transparency, a public algorithm, and to restore banned accounts.
We don't know why some people are being shadow banned, which is kind of the new term that's been coined lately. And so what Elon wants to do in pursuit of this idea of just kind of this universal good of free speech is to say, we're going to make these things open. We're going to have Twitter be open sourced.
While conservatives have been happy with Musk's takeover, many in the establishment media have been highly critical and question Musk's ability to run the company.
It is not at all clear here, Stephanie, that his incredible popularity on Twitter, right? He has over 80 million followers, in any way qualifies him or prepares him to run the party.
Many conservatives blasted Twitter in 2020 for silencing certain political views, including the New York Post's report on Hunter Biden's laptop before the president's election. Skeptics on the left are now threatening to jump ship as Musk prepares to take the helm.
He's routinely over the years tried to shut down his critics, silence them. He's used Twitter to savage them.
But after Twitter approved his offer, Musk himself tweeted, "I hope that even my worst critics remain on Twitter, because that is what free speech means." It's expected to take time for changes to begin at Twitter. Musk's purchase still needs to be finalized, which could take several months. In Washington, I'm Tara Mergener, CBN News.
Turning now to the war in Ukraine, Russia shut off natural gas to Poland and Bulgaria, two European Union nations that back Kyiv as fighting continues to escalate and become a bigger battle with the West. This just happened one day after the U.S. and other Western allies promised to speed up sending more military supplies to Ukraine. Meanwhile, on the ground, there are fears the war could spill over Ukraine's borders. For a second day, explosions can be heard in the separatist region of Transnistria, which is neighboring Moldova. Our CBN News senior international correspondent George Thomas is making his way further east to the front lines, reporting from two strategic Ukrainian towns that are facing a potential encirclement of Russian troops.
So I've joined a three-car convoy. We are in the direction heading to Kramatorsk and Slavyansk. And if you look at a map of eastern Ukraine, these two towns are very strategic because the Russians are trying to come in from the eastern part and to basically encircle the Ukrainians, while Russians from Mariupol and the Donbas region are coming in from the south. And the big concern is that the Russians will try to encircle and trap the Ukrainians. Well, this particular NGO, it's church-based, and they're trying to bring some supplies to the troops and to those who are living in Kramatorsk as well as Slavyansk in anticipation for some very difficult days and weeks ahead. I'm George Thomas reporting from eastern Ukraine.
As more refugees flood into Poland, CBN's Operation Blessing is at the border to give them food and water along with a place to rest. We're also providing language translators to help them along their way.
We are here on the border and there's a lot of volunteers, but there's a lack of translators. So I spend a lot of time here and I'm able to meet people on the border, help them, just connect them with some other people with information, and also just to connect them with our tent and our organization. I also was able to meet one family and we brought them to our tent and we just sat with them and to hear their stories. It's two sisters who came here with their sons, and our people from Operation Blessing, they played with them while I was talking to moms. For them, it was a really hard journey. The city was bombed and her mother-in-law house was bombed. It's just the house near to her house. And they were also hiding in a basement because it was very dangerous to stay outside. So every time when kids heard the sirens or the sounds of bombing, the mom was telling them to run to the basement. So for them, it was a really hard month. They just left. And they spent a day to come here to Poland. Their husbands stayed there and they're really, really worried, but they did everything to save their kids. Here in Operation Blessing tent, we were able to give them some rest, give them tea, coffee, and now they're going to one city in Poland. We really hope that they will do great. Thank you for doing this to make it possible to invite people here to hear their stories, and we're really grateful for your support.
In other news at this hour, Vice President Kamala Harris is working from home today as she tested positive for COVID-19 after returning from a week-long trip to California. The White House says she is asymptomatic, but her doctor put her on a life-saving COVID drug called Paxlovid. The drug is said to reduce the risk of hospitalization and death by 90%. The Biden administration says it plans to make it available to all Americans. Promise Keepers is set to host a powerful online event to address the issue of pornography and providing healing for men suffering from its effects. It is called the Free Man Challenge, and Promise Keepers President and CEO Ken Harrison gives us a preview.
We ask really tough questions. How do I deal with same-sex attraction? What do I do if my child says they're transgender? All the way up to what do I do about lust problem and how do I communicate that to my wife? So in the hour-long program, we deal with these in pithy, short issues that are really tight.
You can watch the event at CBN News Channel. It is happening this evening, which is April 28th. Coming up, a way to treat cancer you may have never heard of, using the body's own immune cells to fight the disease. We're going to hear from a man who's been in remission for 11 years. We're going to have that story for you. It's all coming up right after this. Stay with us. Doctors and patients are singing the praises of a cancer treatment that uses the patient's own immune cells to fight the disease. Medical reporter Lori Johnson introduces us to a man who has been in remission now for 11 years.
75-year-old Doug Olson has good reason to smile.
I feel great.
11 years ago, doctors told him the treatments they'd been trying for his potentially deadly blood cancer, chronic lymphocytic leukemia, failed.
Terrified is probably the best word to describe it.
Feeling he had nothing to lose, Doug agreed to an experimental treatment developed at the University of Pennsylvania called CAR-T therapy. It uses the patient's own immune system, specifically the T cells.
Your blood comes out of one arm, goes into a machine that takes out your white cells, and then the rest of your blood goes back in the other arm.
Scientists take the cells they removed and add receptors that allow them to bind to the invading cancer cells and kill them. These modified T cells are multiplied in the lab and then infused into the patient.
We use my own white cells to kill the cancer cells, but it was brand new. They'd never done it before in humans. I'm sort of an eternal optimist. I figured, what the heck, worked in mice, maybe it'll work in me.
Did it ever? Just 5 weeks after receiving the treatment, Doug's doctor gave him amazing news.
And he said, Doug, we can't find a single cancer cell in your body.
Doug's success paved the way for thousands to be treated with CAR-T therapy. Now, more than a decade later, he's still cancer-free, showing drug companies and other scientists that continued research could pay dividends.
We feel pretty good about using the word cure now.
Basically, that's a game changer.
So far, the FDA has only approved these therapies to treat blood cancers like lymphomas and leukemias, as well as multiple myeloma. It's usually done at academic medical centers like Duke after other treatments failed.
Their outcome is about 45% for 5 years now. These are the latest studies that showing that the duration of response is extending and actually is not coming down. So I think eventually this will be a cure.
While CAR-T therapy has proven successful for certain types of blood cancers, it has not shown to be effective against other more common cancers, but that could change. Cancer researchers are currently conducting trials to treat some of the deadliest forms of the disease, including pancreatic and lung cancers, as well as brain tumors.
This is only the start. CAR-T will expand more and more to different indications, including more leukemias, including actually other types of cancer in the solid tumor.
So while cancer is America's second leading cause of death behind heart disease, cancer deaths have actually fallen by more than 30% since 1991. Experts say the decreased death rate is due to prevention, such as not smoking, screenings like mammograms, and treatments such as CAR-T therapy. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Coming up, we're going to talk to the cast of the film Father Stu. It's all coming up right after this brief break. Stay with us. Father Stuart Long was an amateur boxer whose failing career forced him to move to Los Angeles to find money and fame in film. But on the winding journey, he finds faith. Mark Wahlberg and Mel Gibson helped to bring his story to the big screen in Father Stu. Want to warn you, it is rated R for its language, but the story is truly inspired.
I figured it out.
Yeah, 7th time's a charm.
I'm being an actor.
You don't belong with those LA folks.
Mark, a funny thing happens at dinner with your priest. You get introduced to the story of Father Stu. What do you remember most about that introduction?
You do movies? You don't work in the entertainment industry at all?
No, man.
It just didn't make much sense. It sounded like a funny story, but something finally hit me and it resonated with me. And I had been looking for a long time to do more. Because I know, I've been so blessed and so fortunate. It's not to forget about where I came from. It's to utilize those talents and gifts for God's greater use and purpose. And so when it hit me, I was like, you know what? This is what I got to do.
You don't know you're fussing with his truck?
I'm a son. I'm just borrowing it.
I reckon it's a few months worth of cleanups on aisle 4 to pay off a DUI impound.
Find a story that would bring people closer to God or to faith or to each other. What can I get for you, miss? I got beef.
I can see that.
What are your initial thoughts when you first hear Father Stu's story?
That I didn't know anything about him.
Hey!
Let's not waste either of our time. I'm a Catholic.
Boy, ain't that what confession's for?
I read the script, and the more I read, the more I was impressed by this beautiful story that needed to be shared.
I know I'm not what you're used to, and not what you deserve either.
Life's gonna give you a gut full of reasons to be angry. You only need one, to be grateful.
I really hope that this film can bring families, friends, and people together, bring them some joy, some assurance that we are not alone in these hard times that the world is going through.
I think God saw something in you worth saving, but it's up to you to decide what you've got to offer.
This is the place you told me you believed in me. I thought it makes sense being back here to do this.
Your son is about to make a huge mistake.
I'm going to be a priest.
So we're talking about a man who has a tough childhood. He comes from a broken home. He's got professional disappointments, a disastrous motorcycle accident, a deadly health diagnosis, but he still seems to arrive at a sense of purpose in all of this. What do you think that is?
Well, he's a fighter, and triumph over the infirmities that he was given, and he came to see them as a gift, and he overcame them.
I'm praying for you, Bill.
Don't you dare! You're violating my rights. There's a man going around taking names.
We've all been wrong, and we've all done some wrong. But he came to forgive us.
Everybody won't be treated all the same.
There's no easy way to deliver this news. You have a progressive muscle disorder. The muscles weaken until they cease to function.
He was an incredible example to us all, and you only do something like that through humility. And you don't get humility until you acknowledge that there's something bigger than you.
Yeah.
I want to know why.
How does this man still arrive at a new sense of purpose in light of all that he went through?
It's amazing.
There is concern amongst the diocese that your infirmity will render you unable to be a priest.
It's remarkable how timely this message is. It's certainly not my doing. I would like to take credit for it, but we know that there are powers at work that are well beyond our understanding.
Who are you here to visit, sir?
Father Stu.
You and everybody else.
When a man comes around.
I wish you can pray for an easy life, but the strength to endure a difficult one.
Again, Father Stu is in theaters right now, and tonight we have a more expansive look at the film with extended interviews with Mark Wahlberg, Mel Gibson, and Teresa Ruiz. You can catch Studio 5 on the CBN News Channel. It begins at 8:30 Eastern Time. You can also download the CBN News app and watch it on demand at any time. Coming up, Steve Harvey gives some words of inspiration to his Family Feud audience. We're going to share what those are coming up. Stay with us. The host of Family Feud, Steve Harvey, recently gave some words of inspiration to his studio audience. He explained to them that God gave all people unique gifts used to serve as their key to success in life.
The key is to locate your gift. It's not your talent. What are you gifted at is your quest. Every living soul God created at birth He gave all of you a gift. All of you in this room are gifted.
He says the secret to success is discovering your gift, which then can change your life. Time now for your Wednesday word, and today's word is joy. Remember this: happiness depends on what is happening to you. Joy is unchanging because it rests in the unchanging hand of God. Remember this: the joy of the Lord is your strength. He is indeed your hope. With that word, I encourage you to make today a wonderful Wednesday. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to thank you so much for watching. Also want to remind you that you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. Take time to write us. You can email us at that address right there at the bottom of your screen. It's newswatch@cbn.com. We certainly would love to hear from you. And of course, you're always able to reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That is going to do it for us today. Make it a wonderful Wednesday, and be sure to come right on back and join us right here tomorrow. We look forward to seeing you. Thank you so much for watching. This ends our newscast, but the news continues 24/7 at cbnnews.com. We'll see you tomorrow.